Once upon a time, in a vibrant village in the heart of Africa, there lived a very skilled cook popularly known as Mama Ngozika. Mama Ngozika's kitchen prowess was renowned far and wide, as her dishes were not just meals but a pure celebration of life because of how deliciously yummy they were. Every morning, the tantalizing aroma from Mama Ngozika's kitchen wafts through the village and always draws everyone to her food spot, both old and young. The queue for food at Mama Ngozika's kitchen spots were always very long, as everyone silently prayed that the food doesn't finish before it gets to their turn. Mama Ngozika would always laugh whenever she sensed that her customers were afraid that her food will finish. This was because she was always willing to keep cooking until everyone ate to their satisfaction. One fateful day, the village king contracted Mama Ngozika to prepare varieties of food for a big feast in his palace. As always, Mama Ngozika accepted and poured her heart and soul into preparing the food for the feast. Every guest who came for the feast finished their foods, and they spoke so highly of Mama Ngozika's foods because they were so deliciously yummy. 3 days after the feast, as Mama Ngozika was getting ready to go to her food spot in the morning, some palace soldiers arrived at her place and whisked her away. Her daughter Ngozika screamed out for help as she was so confused over what was happening. It happened that a mysterious illness had befallen the village, leaving many villagers bedridden and weak. There were rumors everywhere that everyone who got sick coincidentally attended the king's feast and they all ate at the palace. So people came to the conclusion that it must have been Mama Ngozika, the village cook, who poisoned everyone with her food. The more Mama Ngozika tried to protest her innocence, the more different rumors were spreading about her. Some people accused her of being a witch and wanting to eat up some people in the village so that she could go up in rank in her witch world. Some people accused her of trying to steal the destinies of the villagers so that she could become more powerful in the village. Some people even claimed that she cooks for the village with her menstrual blood and that it was a ritual she used in drawing many customers to her kitchen. These rumors broke Mama Ngozika as she wept bitterly in the palace prison where she was locked up alone awaiting the verdict of the village chiefs and elders. In the midst of this chaos and turmoil, Mama Ngozika's little daughter Ngozika snuck out of the village at the dead of the night and traveled to her maternal grandmother's place to inform her grandmother of what had happened in their village. Mama Ngozika's mother wept bitterly after listening to her granddaughter. Together with her granddaughter, they sought some wise men to see if they could decipher what actually happened in the village. Unfortunately, none of these wise men could detect what had happened, but they were also certain that Mama Ngozika was innocent. So what now happened? The day finally came when Mama Ngozika's fate was to be decided. The king, who loved Mama Ngozika so much because of their age-long business relationship, cried bitterly as it was not in his hands alone to decide Mama Ngozika's fate. The council of elders and chiefs, after much deliberations, decided that Mama Ngozika should not be stoned to death but banished from the village, never to return again. Mama Ngozika wept bitterly over this verdict as she hugged her mother and daughter Ngozika and started walking to the palace gate with the palace guards. When Mama Ngozika got to the palace gate, she paused in front of the angry crowd. She bent down and she picked some sand. She looked up into the sky and then she said, "The gods of my forefathers and my husband's sacred land, whose earth I have in my hands, if I am guilty of all these accusations, may I die within the next 4 market days once I leave this village. But if I am innocent, may the true culprit be discovered. Please let the person run mad and confess." Mama Ngozika dropped the sand and started walking past the angry crowd who were booing her away with clubs and sticks in their hands. Just as Mama Ngozika got to the boundary between their village and the evil forest where she was to commence her exile alone, the cloud in the sky started to change. It started getting dark like it wanted to rain. Thunder struck 3 times, and a woman in the midst of the crowd started shouting and chanting incoherently. She fell to the floor in the middle of the confused onlookers and was shouting, "I did it! I did it!" This woman's name was Ifeyinwa. Everyone was surprised. It happened that Ifeyinwa, who was also a cook in the village, was so jealous of Mama Ngozika because nobody patronizes Ifeyinwa. So she wanted Mama Ngozika out of the village so that she could have her own chance to shine out and be known. Ifeyinwa secretly poisoned the food items and water Mama Ngozika used in cooking for the palace feast. Ifeyinwa equally made her father, who was a renowned native doctor in the village, to prepare a masking charm. This masking charm was what prevented the wise men Mama Ngozika's mother and Ngozika went to meet from detecting that Ifeyinwa was the real culprit who caused the widespread sickness in the village. Unfortunately for Ifeyinwa, she didn't know that Mama Ngozika was going to use the earth to fish out the culprit. Using the earth to fish out a culprit was an age-long tradition that had already been forgotten. Not even many people knew about that. There was silence everywhere in the village upon the realization of what truly happened. The villagers were all engulfed in guilt and remorse. The king, who was in great shock, was also happy that his friend Mama Ngozika was innocent. The villagers collectively sought Mama Ngozika's forgiveness, and they acknowledged their fault by hastily judging her and casting her away despite her innocence. Tears of relief flowed down Mama Ngozika's face as she forgave all of them. They gave her back her rightful place as the best cook in the village, and they all started to patronize her once more. Meanwhile, Ifeyinwa and her evil father were banished from the village, never to return again. This is the end of my story, my people. The moral of my story is that we should be careful the way we judge people and cast hasty decisions on them based on assumptions. For it is said that it is better to allow 99 criminals to be free than to imprison one innocent man. Secondly, never get carried away when your ovation is loud in this life. Reason: the people who cheer you on today are the same people who will not think twice tomorrow when you are in trouble to cast stones on you. I love you all.